How's it going, Critter Family? I hope you all are doing well. Today we are going over a video by the clever Cowgirl. And before I go over this, on my last video I did a free spirit equestrian. Good God, I have never had so much hate, mail, nasty messages, people trying to contact me, call me, email me, all that, okay? I thought I was being nice in the video, but let me just say it for everybody that's a huge fan of hers. That thinks that she can do no wrong, that she's a god. Okay, she's perfect. She's the best horse person in the world. I don't know what I'm talking about, blah, 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 blah. Okay? You're right. I'm wrong. I'm a dumb person. I don't know what I'm talking about. She is perfect. She can do no wrong. Not that I ever said she did in the video, but apparently people think because, I give somebody criticism that, one, I have to know their entire backstory, or I have to know. It doesn't matter. Look. Somebody asked me to go over one of her videos. I went over one of her videos and that was it. I gave a review. I'm not an essay content creator or anything like that. Anyway. We're not talking about that. We are talking about the clever Cowgirl. So, for everybody that loves her, I'm sure she's a great person. None of this is ever personal. And I will be giving critiques of what I see from the horse's point of view. That doesn't mean it's a personal attack. It doesn't mean that she's not perfect. She's not the best person in the world. She's not whatever. If you like her, then go support her by all means. If you don't like me, then just leave. You don't have to support anything. I appreciate the people who do, all of my new subscribers. I really appreciate all of you. It has been an absolute viral moment for myself for such a small channel, but thank you to the people who know, and the people who don't know, then okay, I'm sure I'll see you later, or I've already blocked you and whatnot. So, okay, so we're going over a video by the clever Cowgirl handling a scared horse. See the exact moment he relaxes. I think it's great that these people, these two ladies specifically, go out and take at-risk horses and they train them and they work them and they bring them around. That's terrific. I'm just talking about the things that I see, okay? Again, the last time I'm going to talk about this, saying that it's not a personal attack. So, let's get started.
I have found that horses like Pete and Goose do really well with a pretty basic daily routine where there are no surprises.
Somebody was rolling in some hay. Hi, kitty.
While I would love to continue doing a lot more at-risk horses, at this point, since I am so full,
So I like that we have, a long lead rope. Very nice. He's following her very nicely. The halter seems like it fits. It doesn't have these extra little knots here. I'm not saying that the owners did any of that. Nice, like a rope halter. Nice long lead rope. I think that's great. We got little buddies over here. We got lots of room for them. That's great.
Be shifting a little bit to a more training-based approach to the horses.
Oh, there's a little mini.
I already have here.
How cute.
Since I have owned Pete for so long, I do have a pretty good idea of how his tiny little horse brain works. Being so scared and sensitive, Pete just takes a little bit of extra time to warm up to whatever it is that we're doing.
Look at that little nose. That's very good. Go back. So this is a lot of pressure. It's kind of a trap point. You're sending the horse either behind you or in front of you to move through this little area right here. We got, a big wall here and we got a little wall here. She gives him time. She doesn't really pull him. She puts a little bit of pressure on. She clicks and he goes through. She's not bullying him. She's not scaring him through. A little bit of encouragement and he goes through. That's brilliant. A lot of people who don't know horses might not even think about that, but that was great that she walked through first. He follows. Beautiful.
Each one of our sessions starts off pretty much the same. Right now, Pete is very tight.
So he's tied to a nice, you might kind of tuck that part. It's kind of hard because it's so short, but you might try to see if you can tuck that part in. But if not, it's not like it's going to necessarily hit him in the eye. Tied to a nice, strong tie point. Nice little loop there. He's not going to get out. He's tied not super short, not super long. I think that looks fine. I can't tell if his feet are a little bit long or not. I mean, of course, when it's cold out, it's going to be hard to cut their feet and trim their feet. And I'm not going to talk about the barn witches. I'm not going to talk about everybody saying, you know, oh, well, it's for this reason, or she's great and she's, but okay.
About what is going on.
Like there, that just looks like it could just be the angle. I'm not saying that she's mistreating her horses. It just looks like it might be kind of flaring out there a little bit.
Even though Pete looks like a fairly normal horse right now, his autonomic nervous system is in a
bumps and
sympathetic
scratches
mode. Over the years, Pete has gotten a lot better at controlling his fear, but he is very nervous right now. As soon as Pete is feeling a little bit more comfortable...
When she walked behind him, she goes out of his blind spot and she goes back into his vision. That's where he turns his little head. So if she's standing right directly behind him, she would be in his blind spot. As he moves his eye just this way or this way, he's able to see her again.
We'll be able to see exactly when he switches over to that parasympathetic response.
He's doing great. He looks fairly relaxed. He's not dancing around. We don't see the whites of his eyes. He's not snorting. He's so cute. Looking at you. So he's relieving a little bit of stress.
After a few minutes,
head kind of goes up as she's brushing the butt. A lot of times that can happen because the butt and tail area is a sensitive area, and
brushing, Pete finally decides that he is not in imminent danger. While licking and chewing can be a positive sign in a lot of horses, you do have to take into consideration the fact that before the licking and chewing happened, these horses feel like they were in real danger.
A little snack.
As soon as Pete does feel more relaxed, I will give him a little treat just so he makes a positive association with the relaxation that he's feeling right now.
He's a good boy.
Even a normally stress-free experience, like simply being brushed,
measure
is
him,
stressful
see how tall he is.
Every time I move on to a new task, he does get a little bit back into that heightened state of fear.
Head goes high. He's like, what is this? She's just doing her thing. She let him sniff it. She's not trying to necessarily rub him down with it. She's not forcing it in his face. She let him sniff. He wanted to sniff.
He does take a little bit more time to handle and some more understanding around new things, but for the most part, Pete is able to control his fractious mind a lot better now than when I got him.
Good. Picks up his feet nice and soft. He's not fighting her.
A lot of times when I buy a horse like Pete at auction, the owner will say the same thing. This horse was really calm and quiet, and then all of a sudden they went crazy. There are tons of signs that you can observe when you're working with a horse that is overly fractious or
good. So he was, okay, so look at that. She's going to trim his feet. Awesome. Okay, to all the people that were going to tell me that, okay, all right, I didn't know. But good. That's awesome. I'm glad that I'm not crazy in thinking that his feet looked a little bit long. Maybe she's just desensitizing him to it.
Does give off a lot of signs that he is uncomfortable, and if these signs are ignored, I could see how he could have some really explosive behavior. Pete
I
is
don't
one horse
know that I would necessarily. I mean, I see why she's closing the door. This is just what I would do. I wouldn't necessarily close the door to lock him in there. I wouldn't want to make him feel more trapped. So I would be okay when I'm working with horses, I'm brushing them and working with them and picking their feet and whatnot, and they kind of back up on me, and then I just bring them back that step and they back up again. I just keep doing that and just say, hey, every time you back up, you're just going to have to come back one more step, unless they're showing more signs of stress and fear. But I personally wouldn't want to lock them up. You also take away, there was light here and you're taking the light away, so it creates shadows. Or it's now a darker area, so his eyesight has to adjust to that. That's just what I would do. I'm not saying that she's doing anything wrong. I'm not saying she's a bad person.
I never hard tie. He has pulled back before, and sometimes he just gets really claustrophobic and scared, so I've just got the lead rope wrapped around the stall front today.
Which is good. So if he does get claustrophobic, though, why would you close the door? I mean, I get it that she's trying to, because she doesn't hard tie him. She wants him to be able to get away or get some space. She doesn't want him to run off. Maybe, that's my guess. That she doesn't want him to get out of this area, but I see this as making the horse more claustrophobic. I don't know how many times he's had his feet done by her.
His feet done a lot since I've got him. He did have
Okay,
really
good.
flat kind of paddle feet when I first bought him.
Now, for me, I'm not a fan of twisting the horse's arm out like that. I would rather work under the horse and, use this part and kind of put your knee on top of the hoof, just because it's twisting an arm out and it can be uncomfortable and it can make the horse, have a negative association, especially if you have an older horse. So just in general, when I'm taking care of, feet, or if I'm doing anything and messing with them, I keep them as under the horse as they can, and I contort myself. It's more work for me. It's more painful for me, but I want the horse to be as comfortable as possible. That's just me.
For the first probably 2 years I had him, he did get his feet done by a regular farrier. While he didn't have any really terrible experiences with the farrier, he never
He's
really
standing
got
very
the
nicely.
opportunity to relax, just because they do have a lot of stuff to get done in one day, and they can't be dilly-dallying around with a horse like Pete,
that's
who
fair.
needs a lot of time and understanding to switch back into that parasympathetic mode. As I trim Pete's feet today, if he gets too nervous or is a little bit scared about something we're doing, I can just
So he
take
put
a
his foot
break
down
and
very
let him
nicely.
stand and
She let it
think
slide
about what's
down.
going
That's
on
something
for
that
him.
I think is important, that you don't just drop the horse's foot down, or you don't let them just like stomp it down. I make sure that I try to I help the horse and try to reinforce that we put our foot down softly.
A while.
Good, he's just chilling.
As soon as he gets back into a more relaxed state, I can continue on with his trim. Pete's feet typically do not grow very fast, but it's kind of exciting to see that with this warmer weather, the horses are
See, again, really
continuing to
kind of twisting the foot out there. That's just, I would rather use the stand, which is, I feel like that's what it's for. You can use it for the front feet as well as the back feet. You can just put his little foot there and hold it there and kind of lean into it as you, sand
grow
it down.
a lot of foot. I have never had to put shoes on Pete. He has
Excellent.
really nice hard feet, and
Good,
we
excellent.
don't really do anything that would warrant the use of shoes at this point. He has really good conformation, so he is pretty easy to
again, he
trim
puts it down
and
nice and
keep
softly.
balanced. Really, the hardest part
Hi,
about
cutie.
trimming Pete's feet is making sure that he stays comfortable with everything that we're doing, even though he's had it done lots and lots of times before.
Agreed.
Here is what his foot looks like before I do the finishing touches on it. He's got a really strong hoof wall and a nice big frog, and all those things lead themselves to him being able to stay
Little
barefoot
fluffy bear.
year-round. When I finally get my own place, one of the things that I'm going to be really excited for is an extra wide aisle. Pete is
Okay,
not
that's
that
good.
big. He is 15'1", and it's surprising that Scarlett is just an inch shorter than him right now. I have a feeling that she's probably going to be at least 16 hands, and inside this tiny
So it looks
little
like she's
barn aisle,
doing
it is
a Mustang
little bit
roll,
of a
maybe
tight
not.
squeeze for her. Compared to my other horses, Pete really doesn't take that much longer to get his feet trimmed. He just gets a few little breaks in between.
That's good. That's awesome.
As long as I keep a pretty close eye on how he's doing mentally, he really is no
He's
trouble
a
to trim
cutie
these
pie.
days.
Beautiful. Now, see, it's not that much of a difference, but it's still, I feel like it's still tweaking that elbow there, that joint. He doesn't seem to be panicking. He's just checking it out. But again, that's just the point I'm trying to make, is I don't want to twist any arms out of way. When I was trimming my dog's nails, I did the same thing, where I would, stand and I wouldn't put his arm into a lock or an elbow lock or anything. I would be contorting myself to make sure he was comfortable. He's relaxing over here. So she's doing his feet. So that's mad to be with his little horsey friends.
Are you 50 or older? Well, this news is for you. The CDC now recommends you get vaccinated against.
Typically, by the time we're on the second foot, Pete is fully relaxed into the activity for the day. He is really good about holding up his feet, which makes my job so much easier. Pete probably takes about twice as long to trim as the other horses, so instead of about 15 to 20 minutes, he takes maybe 40 minutes to trim. And most of that time is just me standing around letting him relax.
That's good.
Since I do
I can
own
appreciate
Pete and
that.
I'm not really on any sort of timeline, I have plenty of time to dilly-dally around with him as he needs. He got a little bit extra nervous when I went to finish his other foot, so I took the rope off of the stall front and put it over him so I didn't get clotheslined in case something
That's good.
went
That's
awry.
smart. Active ears. He's a good boy. Very nice. Gonna step on his rope there.
I
If he
decided
does,
that I was just
and he knows how to step on it, then that's great. If not, then he's in a tight space with a lot going on that could cause a lot of damage to everything involved. So let's hope he knows how to step on his rope without freaking out.
2 feet today. It is getting a little bit later in the day, and I do have quite a few things to get done before the sun goes down.
So let's see if he knows how to step on his rope. Oh, there's a little cut there, and he moved his foot. I don't know if she moved it for him or not. Hi, cutie.
Hi, Pete. Come on, Pete. Compared to the other
leads very
horses out in
nice.
this pasture, Pete has a very different mind. Little Gus, Stewie, and Whiplash all are cow horse bred, and Pete is bred to be a barrel horse. Pete is
I'm
definitely
not a fan of any of those kind of sports. That's just me. I think it's, there's far too many people that are cruel to their animals in the name of sport.
a bit more reactive, and the other boys are a tad more cerebral.
Good. I like that they didn't, she's not.
They try
I like that she's not elbowing him out of the way, giving my space and all this and that. I mean, that's great.
to include Pete in their fun and
Smelling
games,
each other.
but Pete really just doesn't understand what's going on most of the time.
A little bit of grooming. He's like, hey.
I'm still
what's he
hopeful
smell?
that one of these days Pete will just figure it out and he'll become more
Is that
integrated
on him that he
into
smelled,
this
that his little friend
herd.
smelled?
I think because Pete is scared of so many things, he just can't relax enough to take part in their shenanigans.
I'm glad that he's not alone. He has some little horsey friends.
Stewie.
Hi, cuties. Oh my gosh, they're so cute. I love those little nosies. How cute. So yeah, looks like she's... Oh, good. Let's see how they do with feeding. Because when you have one, herd and one little
Just
pile,
to
we
get them
have
a little bit more used to it, I
multiple little piles over here, which looks very nice. It's kind of spread out. That way, when you have, say, 5 or 6 horses and you only have like 2 or 3 piles, then that's where a lot of fighting can happen.
am going to swing around and make another pass. Pete seems to be the only one that is really concerned about my welfare this evening. The other boys
I mean, he's a smart horse. He's choosing life over food, which, I mean, again, can also be seen as life. But, he's like, okay, this thing is weird. It's moving. I'm not going to be interested in eating right now. I'm going to be interested in running if I need to. The other guys are like,
went right
we've seen
back
it
to
before. It's
munching
good.
on their dinner.
So I think that's a smart horse.
This is going to be super handy to feed all of the horses in the morning. I think I am going to start putting all of their hay in the big rubber buckets so I can kind of portion it out in the morning.
So she's throwing like flakes out. They look like they're very loosely packed flakes, but something that I've learned that can be handy is if you take a few extra seconds to shake out your flake and really inspect it and make sure there's no dead animals or pieces of wire. You know, the friends that I go and work with her horse, her friend's horse got a piece of wire in their hay, and it got caught between the teeth, and it cut the horse's tongue up to like look like hamburger meat. They were foaming. They had blood everywhere. The horse has since been, you know, healed, of course, and is okay. This was a long time ago, but since then they take more care to inspect their hay when they're feeding it, and they don't just go, you know, throwing out a flake. That doesn't mean that she's bad or that there's anything wrong with what she's doing here. That's just an extra tip for anybody, that anybody can take a couple extra seconds. We have to take that time to you know, do that much better for our horses. I think she's already doing a great job for these horses, but it's just a couple of tips.
And hopefully not get as covered in tiny little alfalfa particles as I have been. The alfalfa this year is a bit more dry than it usually is, so it is really hard to peel off and get in the right portions without getting completely covered. It looks like these giant rubber feed tubs are going to fit perfectly in the back. It does look
Good. There's
like
no
the
fighting.
only
These
one
guys
who
are
is
kind
still
of
concerned about me is Pete, so it may take a little bit longer for him to feel okay with the new piece of equipment zipping around.
And that's good. That's good, you know,
At the
sacking out.
beginning of last year, I did make some
He's
goals
curious.
for myself. One of them was trying to post
She leaves and
3
eats.
videos a week, which I've been able to do for the most part, except for one small section at the end
They
of the
seem to
summer
eat
where
very
I
well
just
together.
felt a little
Very
bit
nice.
too burnt out to keep up the schedule. The other thing that I really wanted to do was to hit 100,000 subscribers, which I did do.
Well, congrats.
The third thing I wanted to do before I invested in this new piece of equipment was to go 100% full-time on YouTube, which I have been doing for a few months now.
Awesome.
None of this would have been possible without you guys, so thank you so much for continuing to tune in and see what's going on with the horses.
So she is, so far, I don't see much of anything wrong. I don't see a problem with it. Not that I'm trying to see a problem with it. I don't, you know, she's taking care of the horses, and anyway, it's good. And from now on, I promise I'm not going to be worried about what the damn, you know, barn witches and trolls out there have to say, because they think everybody's perfect. Clearly, I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. I saw some things in the video that I might do differently. Otherwise, it's great. A+ to her. I think she's, you know, she seems like a very nice person, and congrats genuinely to her for being able to accomplish some of her goals and her dreams. So that does it for this video. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think. Go say how to do to your little critters. Say how to do for me. Give them some kind of love and they appreciate. And until next time, practice peace, patience, and positivity.